Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. Sorry our live stream got interrupted last night. We're going to go ahead and do a video to finish that off. There's some important things I wanted to go over with everybody, guys. These are some of the numbers that were giving out recently by the UN. So this is United Nations World Food Program, known as WFP. So back in November of 2021, they announced that the countries on the edge of famine had grown from 43 countries up to 45. Now think about that. From 43 countries to 45, they're at the edge of famine. That was back in November. And this was going to be conditional on no further escalations over the Ukraine area, because the Ukraine, went over some of these numbers last night. We'll go over them again. 10% of the fertilizer of the world comes from Ukraine. 10% of the fertilizer of the world comes from Russia. 1/3 of the potash of the world comes from Belarus. That's a very large percentage. Now, 30% of the world's wheat, okay, comes from Russia and Ukraine. We're not going to be seeing a lot of that wheat, guys, with everything going on, the embargoes and stuff that's going to be happening to Russia, and then the blockades that are placed over at the Ukraine. You're not going to see wheat coming out of those areas either. So expect the prices to be going up. This is not to scare you into some sort of a sense of, okay, well, I need to go buy all this other stuff. What this is to do is to encourage you, if you don't have an area that you can grow your own food, raise your own livestock, things like that, I completely understand, guys. If you're going to start prepping, you need to get it done now. The prices have already come up quite a bit. They're going to expect to come up even higher. So the projections, and again, this was before all this stuff was happening over here in the Ukraine, guys. This was all contingent upon that, and they're coming up with the new numbers now. They were expecting by middle of April to the middle of May that we would see massive increases in prices. Things that once cost, $2 is going to be almost $6. And these are not prices from what we're seeing in Ukraine. This inflation that we're seeing, I know our administration is blaming it on that situation there. It's not what this is from. This is from all of the shutdowns and mandates that went out across the world. And we're now seeing the implications of those. We're not even seeing the implications of the stuff that's happening now. So do you really think, just to throw this out there, do you really think Russia is going to sell us wheat here in the United States if we continue to sanction over there? They're not going to. It's going to be such a high price. People aren't going to be able to afford it in the stores. So January of this year, it's 2022, an estimated 20 of the countries that were listed in the 45 back in November will be moved to the IPC Category 5, which means under famine needs urgent care. It's a catastrophe at that point. 20 of those 45 countries are going to be moved to that this year. And again, this was just before the Ukraine, and it put that on everything. You can find this information going to the UN websites and things like that, guys. There's a lot of information. Don't be listening to what they're telling you on the media. Go out and see what's actually been said, what these economic analysts are putting out, the information that they're giving us. It's up to us to go and find this information. So I encourage you to do that. Don't listen to what are some of these guys' names that are up there? I don't know. I don't really watch the news, but there's a lot of them that come up. They give you the information, and then it comes out, well, maybe the information wasn't quite right because they didn't research it. You can go straight to the UN's website that's for public information, and you're going to get all the information that they're releasing. You can go to whitehouse.gov, and it's going to give you all the information of what's happening in any executive orders. It has the minutes of all of Biden's speeches and things like that. Understand that those minutes are actually cleaned up quite a bit. They get rid of come on, man. They get rid of that part out of it, guys. So you're not going to get to catch and read a lot of that. But that's a good thing, because if you were trying to read the written transcripts of that, it's going to be like looking into a bowl of alphabet soup or something like that. So it's better that they got rid of some of that stuff. But that's what we're going to see. A Category 5 IPC means that there is an urgent catastrophe, and 20 countries are being upgraded to that this year. And that was before this happened. So I'm expecting that number to rise. They haven't released a lot of the new numbers yet. But I'm hoping that people are kind of waking up to the situation, guys. So we do food prep videos here as well. But rather than just showing some cans, and rather than just showing some of the dry goods that we're preparing, I want you to understand why we're doing this. It's not because I want to have a bunch of food stockpiled that I'm not going to need. It is not. I don't make anything off of this stuff, guys. I am not a monetized channel. Hope to get there one day. Will it happen? I don't know. We'll see. But the reason I'm doing this is it's something I'm already doing. And I'm seeing that there's this kind of a disconnect in our society where people are not, I'm not going to call it acting out of fear, but acting out of being informed. I think it's up to each of us as Americans to inform one another of what is going on, not just in this country, but worldwide, the worldwide implications and the at home implications of what's coming. If you can't grow your own food, try to get what you can, buy it bargain if you can now. Like I say, those prices are going to continue to go up. For those, it's tax season. Maybe you're getting child tax credits and things like that. Put those vacations on hold or whatever it is that you usually do with the money, and go back and provide some food for your family, guys. I think it's very important. It is our mandate as a parent to provide for our families. Maybe you don't have children, maybe you have elderly parents. As a child, as a son and a daughter, regardless of what your relationship is with your parents, it is up to us to look out and honor our parents. That's the way I feel about this, guys. Now, maybe you don't have room to do chickens, maybe you don't have room to do quail, things like that, but there are a lot of local small time areas where you can typically, at least for now, get some of that food fairly reasonable, fairly cheap. Not only are you helping out a local community and a local family, you're going to get a little better price as for now. But as those feed rates go up, understand we're going to grow a lot of our feed here. But until then, I'm already seeing an increase in feed prices. So they're going to have to make that money back because it takes a while to bring a chicken from hatch to butcher. Now, for a quail, it takes about 8 to 10 weeks. You can butcher them in 8 weeks. I find that they have a little bit better tasting meat at 10 weeks personally, a little bit sweeter. You can beef them up just a little bit, get a little bit more out of that. But I'm really hoping that these videos are getting through. If maybe you have a family member and they need to understand, you're not going to be able to rely on the government. So I honestly, I had no idea that we actually had a United Nations World Food Program. That's something I found out last night. I didn't realize all these different types of levels on IPC. That when you're dealing with government stuff, they like to use these acronyms and all these weird things. But it is a catastrophe rating. And level 5 happens to be the highest. And 20 of those 45 countries are going to be going up into that. Now, we may look at that list, and you can see the list. There's too many. Like I said, there's 45 countries on this list, guys. So go look it up. But if you look on that list, a lot of them are what we call third world countries and stuff that actually receive food supplies from us. So do you think that we're going to be sending our food to these countries? Or are we going to be selling it in our home country? Well, with the UN involved, they're going to offer them, the farmers, more money for the crop. So farmers who are needing money, who are they going to sell to? The highest bidder. That's the way it works. So at one time they were sending a shipping container of food, and they gave an estimated price of $1,000 for a container. Now, I'm sure it was higher than that, but they said on average $1,000 for a container. That those containers are now selling for $5,000 per container of food. What kind of food's in it? Don't know. But we're seeing a 5-fold increase from 1,000 to 5,000 is what the going rate is now. And they're saying that we're not even going to start seeing the implications of the fallout this war over here in Europe is going to have on us, because it is such a, we never really thought much about those areas, guys. But there's a very large percentage, 30% of the world's supply of wheat comes out of Russia and Ukraine. You're looking at 20% of the fertilizers coming out of Russia and Ukraine. That's a large percentage. And then you're looking at a third of the world's potash production takes place in Belarus. Those are some big numbers, guys. May not seem like it. If you're living in apartments in the city and things like that, I'm really feeling it for you. The only option I can see is either move, and I know that costs money, guys. I'm not disconnected from that reality. If you can't move, you don't have the money to move, you need to look at something as far as prepping, and I could get up here and I could show you, and like I say, you could come back and you go to my playlist that shows food preps, And you can see I'm buying the cheapest cans of vegetables and stuff that's on there. I'm not a brand snob. If Great Value is cheap, I buy it. If Libby's is cheap, I buy it. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you can afford to get for your family, try to set that stuff back. Don't use it as your groceries for the next 3 months. Set it back, because there's going to come a time where you have no income coming in, or the prices are so insanely high. You got to figure your fuel expenses are fixing to really go up. I mean, it's already high as it is, but it's going to continue to go up. They're saying the little bit of fuel that's actually here in America that we still do, which isn't much, that you're going to be seeing a 4% increase on that. 4% doesn't sound much until you start realizing where the prices are now, like $125, $130 a barrel, from where they were when Trump was in office, $30, $40 a barrel. And on top of that, we'll call it $125 a barrel, you're going to see another 4% increase on just domestic oil. We're not ramping up domestic oil production. We're buying from countries that are wanting to make us pay $150 for a barrel. That's not you and me paying $150 a barrel. That's the people that are buying the crude to bring over and refine. They're going to pay $150 a barrel. By the time they pay their employees and pay to have that shipped across the country, you're going to see a massive increase. I mean, it's going to be insane, the price of fuel here before too long. And that's going to affect everything from farmers. And again, that comes down to the consumer. I think the situation is very dire. You need to be getting your food now. You need to be growing food now, guys. I mean, this is one of the situations where, I appreciate all the comments and things that people have, and understand, there's only so much that I myself can do. I understand, my hands are tied. I'm not, the Donald Trump of, YouTube, where I've got, 10, I think he was estimated like $7 to $10 billion worth of worth. I mean, I don't have that kind of money, guys. But what I've learned is that I can take some of my local skill sets and do some odd and end jobs if you need to for people. Do a lot of the work myself. Save some money. Save it up. Then you can maybe you can't complete the project, but if you can get it started, and maybe you have to start small scale. And that's what I did out here with my quail. I just had a real small chicken coop, converted over, and started with 12 quail. I've got my breeding and all that like ramped up into overtime right now, because I don't know what's fixing to happen, guys. I have a pretty good idea. I mean, if you've got people that typically hide information from not just the country but the world, and they're coming out and they're saying, y'all need to be getting prepared. That's what they're saying. The world needs to be getting prepared. The outlook that they're looking at right now, they're saying the implications of what's happening in Europe right now can make it even worse than they can even figure. So you've got 20 countries going into a Category 5 IPC for hunger. Urgent, famine, done. 20 countries have been put on that list this year. But it could be worse. They're saying it can be worse. They're not saying, anything could be worse. They're saying it can actually be worse. It's going to have a lot to do with how long the conflict lasts. It's going to have a lot to do with if that conflict lasts a year, it's going to be even worse 3 years from now than if the conflict ended today. But either way, it's going to be bad, because all their projections were originally that there would be no invasion, because they were still going to have those fertilizers and crops coming to the world. And that's not the case now. So this is not a channel for fear mongering. I'm not trying to scare people, but I think it's important to make you aware of what is going on in the world. And that's just the stuff that we know about, okay? We have that. I don't know how much truth it is to some of the reports that are coming out. But apparently, from what I had read, it was talk about last year that I don't know exactly what blight is, but there's talks that there could be a blight epidemic this year with crops. Apparently some kind of disease, I guess, plants catch, and it kills the crops. And a lot of that is because the plants won't be healthy enough to have a resistant to it, because they're not going to have those extra fertilizers. Now, you may be thinking, well, I don't eat fertilizer. Well, do you eat corn? Do you eat green beans? Do you eat cattle that eat stuff that has been fertilized? It's going to come back, and it's going to bite us in the rear at some point. So try to figure out a way of some sustainability. I'm all about prepping. I'm all about getting what I can. But, I would rather take $100 and invest toward getting my quail going than spending $100 on some canned food. That's where I'm at now. I still buy my canned food, but I have a location where I can actually raise quail and things like that. So to me, I had to weigh it out: long term, short term, still prep, but add sustainability to these preps, because eventually the prices of food are going to be so through the roof. The prices of gas and stuff, people are going to be ending up homeless, and that's the other thing you got to think about. We seen the riots and stuff that happened across this nation. I don't care why they say it was, but we seen how Americans react when they meet stress. And all it takes is just a little bit of information from the press, and it only have to be full information, or true information, and the world reacts in anger. This country reacts in such a way that it's a shame, is what it is. What do you think is going to happen when those people start starving? You think they're just going to sit back? No. Are they just going to settle for going and robbing a store of some jewelry or a purse? No. Those psychopaths that were burning down cities, they're going to be coming after preppers. They're going to be coming after people who are trying to build a sustainable lifestyle. So there's a lot of different preps you need to be working on. You need to be getting you some of those freedom seeds that they talk about. For those who don't realize that what a freedom seed is, check out some of our other videos and stuff. But for those who do know what it is, maybe you can answer it for them. Apparently there's a lot of stuff we have to watch what you say on YouTube if you want this message to get out. And I've always been one that I just speak it straight out. I don't have much of a filter, guys. But I want this information to get out to people, so I'm trying to follow suit with that. So forget what they're telling you on the media right now. Forget what this administration is telling you. Say, well, this is directly because of what's happening over here in Europe. That's not what the UN analysts are saying. That's not what world analysts are saying. They're saying that this is because of the worldwide mandates that went out in 2021. That's what's causing these prices. We're just now seeing it. We've not even seen the long-term ramifications of what's going on over there now. So don't buy into these are the same people who got up and he on one show says, "Oh, I'm not getting rid of fracking," and then on the next show, he's, "Oh yeah, I'm getting rid of fracking." And then the same guy who walks off to turn around to shake a hand and is completely lost on stage, and apparently, I always thought that Ukrainians lived in the Ukraine, but apparently not, because I don't know if you caught it or not, during the State of the Union address, apparently Uranians, whatever a Uranian is, lives in the Ukraine. So maybe they're from Uranus. I don't know, but that's what Biden said. To keep the Uranians that's over there in Europe in your thoughts and prayers to Uranians. So yeah, if you don't believe me, go check out that State of the Union address, guys. But that's where we are as a society. That's where we are today in our country. That is where we are in the prepping community. For those who have been prepping for a long time, we're sitting back and we're looking at our food that we're like, okay, so we have a couple years set back. What you would originally thought was pretty good, but when you think of the long-term ramifications of this, you're going to have to come up with some sustainability. You're going to have a way to protect what it is you're investing in as well. This mentality where I'm just going to take off to the woods and live off the land. I'm an outdoorsman, guys. I love to hunt. I've hunted for years. The game is not as available as you like to think it is. Okay, so I've got some off-grid property in Wyoming, and I'll look out, and back before my days, you could look out and just see herds and herds of antelope and buffalo and stuff in those areas. It's not the case. Now, you might see a herd of antelope, have between 7 or 12 antelope in that herd, and you think, well, that's pretty good. No, it's not. Not from where we were. It's nowhere near where it should be, because it takes a long time to get an antelope up to that kind of weight. And you figure all the people in the area, they're going to be shooting them, and eventually there's not going to be any food available. As far as deer hunting and things like that, yes, definitely if you're a hunter, try to hunt. But it's not going to be a situation where you can just go out and say, okay, well, I'm going to get a deer and then we're going to be good. Because most of those people that are going to go nomad up through the woods, they talk a lot of stuff. They'll, I'll cure my meat. Well, do you have curing salt? Are you walking around with 50 to 100 pounds of curing salt to actually cure this meat? No. You're going to go out, you're going to poach it, you're going to eat what you can in that sitting, and the rest is going to rot. And people like that make me very irritated. I can't stand that kind of stuff. Even in a survival situation, prepare for what you need now, so that if it comes down that you have to go hunt your food, you're getting the full use of it. Otherwise, you're not helping society. All you're doing is scabbing off of it. That may seem mean. That may seem straight out, just downright like, I can't believe people like that. But that's the way I look at it. If you go out and you shoot a 140-pound deer and you eat 20 pounds of meat and let the rest of it rot in the ground, I ain't got much use for you, man. I really don't. Use as much as you can. You look at how the Native Americans did it. I mean, they used everything from the bone for tools. They used the marrow. They used the daggum tendons. Everything was used for something. And we need to get back to that way of thinking, guys. As far as like quail, I use as much of the quail as I can. I don't really have much use for the bones. I don't really feed animals cooked bird bones at all, or cooked bones at all, because it can cause some issues. But maybe you could throw those bones out and draw in some kind of predator that you could shoot, a wolf or something, if you have them in your area. It's a good possibility. I wouldn't use it on your property, because you'll start drawing that predators around your livestock. You don't want to do that. But as far as like the feathers and things like that, I get a lot of use out of the feathers, tying my own flies for fishing and stuff. And that's something I'd like to do, is maybe make some fishing videos. But I don't want this to be a outdoors channel as like, hey, we're going fishing the guy today. But I might go out and do some fishing and then show you how to salt cure fish, something like that, if that's something people are interested in. We have to think of long-term survivability. With our garden prep, some of the things I'm looking at here in the future is, originally I was thinking, okay, we're just going to can a bunch of stuff. But realistically, I don't know that canning is going to be a viable long-term solution. Now, there will be canned vegetables, but apparently you could dehydrate a lot of these vegetables. I didn't know you could dehydrate cucumbers, squash, and zucchini, but apparently you can. And they say it's really good to, dehydrate that stuff. And you can store it in your vacuum seal packs with the oxygen absorber. And depending on the type of pack you're using, if you're using a Mylar style, it can last up to 10 years. The plastic ones, they say about 5 years. So you're looking at 5 times storage. Think about how many vegetables you can fit in a glass jar, a pint glass jar, then how much that's going to weigh at the end. I mean, that's going to be a pretty heavy jar. Now think about how much that you can put in a half-gallon, dehydrated, by the way, inside of a half-gallon bag that you can vacuum seal with the oxygen absorber. You're going to be able to keep quite a bit more in there, and the weight of it's going to be nothing compared to that jar. So you're going to be having more food in that bag. It's going to be less weight. So I think that's the way I'm going to go with a lot of stuff with the garden. So just some tips for everybody. But hope everyone's having a great week. I hope this kind of answers some of the question stuff. And again, I apologize for the live stream. That storm kicks up. It doesn't take but a second to pop the internet out here. It takes my phone a couple seconds to switch over to the internet available on the phone. So the stream was going dead right as I was getting ready to end it, because I was trying to get off so it didn't cut out in the middle of the sentence, guys. But these are some of the other statistics we wanted to go over with. But we'll check with everybody later. Next week, we're going to have some new videos come up. You probably won't see anything on Monday. Monday is the 14th. And I'm going to take that day like I do every year just for me. That is my daughter's birthday. She would be 20 years old this year. So I'm going to be taking that day to I'll probably go fishing or something, just to reflect on life and do something, because I figured they'd want me happy. So I'm going to do something that makes me happy. So I'll probably get my fishing gear out and go see what I can catch. And if we catch something, I might make a video of some stuff and put up here on Tuesday. But everyone have a blessed weekend.